Yeah, we are definitely running out of ways to sugarcoat it. In fact, I'd say we're safely at the point of we might have some in the back, but it is not looking good. What's cracking, everybody, and welcome back to Kraken R&R, where the Seattle Kraken, for the second game in a row, find a way to lose, this time in regulation, 2-1 to the DC Capitals. And this is a loss that, well, sure, with the Vegas game, you could point to some silver linings of they played well, and they do get a point against a good team, that even if you don't like how they got that point at the end of the game, they still did get a point. But with this game, there is no excuse for the Kraken to be losing this game if they still are trying to make the playoffs. It's a Capitals team that did sell pretty hard at the deadline, maybe not the biggest seller, but certainly among them. And on top of that, they're coming into this game on the second half of a back-to-back after having been completely blown out in Edmonton the night before. So then for the Kraken, well, sure, it doesn't help that unfortunately they are still missing Dunn and Schwartz from the lineup in this game. This is still a game that they should and definitely need to win. Instead, unlike the game with Vegas, where there's at least the upside of them playing well for the vast majority of it and kind of blowing it late, this game, they don't even play well for the vast majority of the game. In fact, the second period, they straight up are terrible. I mean, sure, they do start out the game well, and there's bits and pieces of the third period that you like, but they definitely do not play well enough to win, and they just cough up an opportunity to pick up 2 points in the standings, and with Vegas losing to the Flames, pick up 2 points on Vegas. So now, with this game that you don't play well and blowing the end of that last game against Vegas, you have basically a 5-point swing where instead of being where they are now down 9 points to Vegas, they could easily have been down just 4. And to be honest, if this was last year's team, I think that's probably where we're sitting at this point. And I say that because last year's team consistently found ways to win games, not necessarily because of the differences in the lineup, which really aren't that significant. It's just a couple of guys different on the fourth line. They're still basically the same team that they were at this point last year, just with the addition of Burakovsky and better goaltending, both from Decord, but also Grubauer playing, I guess, a little bit better, but kind of similar to how he did down the stretch of last year. He was pretty good in the last couple months and obviously in the playoffs. But last year's team just found ways to win games, where this year's team, well, to put it bluntly, that's been the difference between last year and this year, where certainly in the first couple months of the season, that's what we were talking about, how this team just consistently found ways to lose games. And that has definitely come back to bite here in the last two. Now, of course, we know how that showed up in the game against Vegas with the back half of that third period, giving up 2 goals, one right away after taking the 2-goal lead, and then the one that they give up 16 seconds left in the game to tie it, send it to overtime, and then lose it there. So then in this game, how do they find a way to lose it? Well, for one, they let the Capitals hang around as they do get off to a very good start in the first period, at least in the first couple minutes. They get one very good chance right away in the first minute at 5-on-5 that does require a good save from Lindgren, which he's able to make. Then the Kraken end up on a power play where right off the jump in the power play, they get a golden opportunity to Tolvanen on the far side. Once again, though, a sparkling save from Lindgren keeps that out. And then that power play kind of fizzles, and to be honest, well, they do get some more chances here and there throughout the rest of the first period after this failed power play. The rest can kind of be said about this first period, where they get off to that hot start, and then it just kind of fizzles after this power play comes to an end. They get a couple of chances, but at the end, they just kind of let the Capitals hang around and don't continue to press or get any sustained momentum towards the Capitals' end of the net, with, again, this being a team coming in on the back half of a back-to-back with a decent amount of travel between Edmonton and Seattle, and obviously, with that game not going great, losing that one to the Oilers 7-2. I suppose at least the good news is the Kraken don't allow the Capitals to score either, so for the third game in a row, we head to the first intermission with the score still tied at 0. And that sends us to a second period where the Kraken come out flat, and then it takes a nosedive from there, as in the middle of the period, the Kraken send the Capitals to the power play 3 straight times. The first one, 3 seconds in, is pretty much negated by TJ Oshie also getting called for hooking, so it's 4-on-4 basically for 2 minutes, but nothing really happens there. Then the Capitals get back-to-back power plays, the first of which the Capitals get a couple good chances on right away, but Decord comes up with the saves, and then the back half of that power plays cleaned up pretty well by the Kraken. Back at 5-on-5, though, they give up another good chance. Once again, Decord the save as he's trying to keep them in this game. But then on the second power play that the Capitals get the full one of, the third penalty the Kraken take of this second period, oh, Joey. Yeah, this is one that, even if he doesn't do dang-its anymore, Steve Dangle's still got a chance to see, and sure enough, if you're a goaltender, tend the goal, as Joey Decord comes out to play the puck as the Capitals dump it into the offensive end, and takes a little bit too long to decide what he wants to do with it before trying to clear it, and he clears it right into TJ Oshie. It goes off of Oshie, touches Decord as he tries to recover one more time, and then Oshie taps it in to give the Capitals the power play goal and the 1-0 lead. And unfortunately, I know that there's going to be people, especially with this game ending as a one-score game, and this being the first goal of the game halfway through the second period, that are going to want to put this game on Decord and just hate on him for him going out and playing the puck as much as he does. Now, the fact of the matter is that Decord offers the Kraken much more than one goal a season by being as active as he is and as good as he is at playing the puck out and around the net. He, a number of times, has cleared the puck on power plays successfully that helps kill those good scoring chances for opposing teams, not to mention the number of times that he creates breakout chances for the Kraken back the other way, not only at 5-on-5, but also sometimes shorthanded. And while it was actually, I think, at 5-on-5, Decord could easily have already had a couple of points this season with a primary assist that he should have had in Edmonton if it wasn't for a Yamamoto offside, and a couple of other ones where he certainly was the reason that the puck got down the ice, and although he doesn't end up with an assist, he is the reason that the goals happen. But on the other hand, the unfortunate truth of the matter is that when you have a goaltender that plays the puck as much as Decord does, even for as good as he is at it, and as much as he adds to the team by doing it, once or twice a season, mistakes are going to happen, and they tend to be pretty obvious and end up in a goal the other way. Like is the case here, and I would say this is the first time this season that it has happened fully on Decord. I know there's going to be haters that are going to blame one or two others and kind of stretch to blame a couple others on Decord. There's the one in Florida earlier on in the season that he goes out to play the puck, and I still argue that he goes out to play that one at the same time that any goaltender in the NHL would, unless they have a broken leg or something. It's just an unfortunate bounce off of the boards that puts the puck right out in front of the net. Then there's another one in Ottawa, I think earlier this season as well, where he went out to play it behind the net, and then there's a miscommunication between he and Borgen, and honestly, I think Borgen really should have played that puck. It was maybe a little bit more on him, but it's still kind of 50-50. Either way, this is, to me, certainly the first time this season that it's fully on Decord. He just makes a dumb mistake and it ends up in the Kraken net. Unfortunately, it could not have come at a worse time. Anyway, all that to say, while it certainly sucks that this goal happens how it does and when it does, I hope that it doesn't change at all how Decord plays the goaltender position for the Kraken. He adds much more to the team than one bad mistake a season, or even two bad mistakes a season. I'd say that his ability to play the puck has added at least one or two goals worth of potential for the Kraken already. Yeah, it just sucks in this game that it ends up being the difference. And besides, even outside of all that, and just with this game specifically, heck, even this period specifically, while this one boneheaded mistake from Decord does cost the Kraken, he more than made up with it with what he had done for them, keeping them in the game before this goal goes in, and what he does the rest of the second period to prevent the Capitals from expanding on that lead, as the Kraken in front of him continue to play just energyless, heartless hockey as they're completely sloppy, giving up the puck constantly, allowing the Capitals to get offensive zone pressure constantly and shots on goal constantly, which thankfully Decord is able to bail them out of all of that to get to the second intermission, still down just one. And at least for a little bit anyway, it looked like that was going to make the difference, as the Kraken come out in the third period looking like a different team. Suddenly they have energy and desire and willingness to push to try to even this game up, and quickly they do just that as they get onto a power play. And well, it does take a little bit. The first unit does, I guess, get a few chances, but it's the second unit that gets out on the ice, gets back into the offensive end. Yamamoto has a nice move to get the puck up to the net. Lindgren with a good save in tight. Gordon, though, gets the puck behind the net, curls out to the other side, then finds Bjorkstrand wide open in the slot. Bjorkstrand fires off the shot and buries it past Lindgren, who just isn't quite able to recover in time, into the top of the net to tie the game at 1 with the power play goal. So, while sure, we haven't had a lot of them this season, it looks like for the second game in a row, the Kraken are going to come into the third period down 1 and have a third period comeback to potentially end up winning the game. Instead, they really don't build off of that power play goal whatsoever. In fact, they're pretty flat the rest of the third period. They're never able to generate any lasting offensive momentum, and really their best momentum that they had offensively at 5-on-5 came in the minute or so leading into that power play. So for the rest of this third period, the Kraken really don't generate much of anything offensively. And actually, to make matters worse, it's one of the few times after a failed Capitals power play midway through the period the Kraken do a good job of killing off, but one of the few times in the rest of this period that the Kraken actually do get set up in the offensive end. They cycle the puck, and then it leads to the second and game-winning goal for the Capitals, as Burakovsky takes the puck from along the boards, curls up to the blue line, and then tries to drop it to Bjorkstrand crossing the other way along the blue line, but Bjorkstrand, who's expecting the puck to kind of slide to him, it just kind of hits a patch of snow or something on the ice, stops in place, so now you've got Burakovsky and Bjorkstrand going away from the puck, while Connor McMichael jumps on the opportunity and gets a free breakaway down the other way. Absolutely no chance for any Kraken players to catch up to him. He skates in and just makes a nice move to beat Decord forehand to backhand and roofs it, which I have to say, to Decord's credit, it seems like this is the first time in a long time, including one other breakaway save he'd already made in this game, that he had allowed a goal on a breakaway. He's been fantastic at stopping those so far this season, but this one does go in. It's a nice move, and the Capitals take that lead, which they never end up surrendering. Eventually, with a little over a minute, the Kraken do go empty net. Personally, I would have liked to see them try that a little bit earlier, but they do get at least one good chance with the empty net. McCann gets a shot that rebounds to the far side, and there's empty net for Eberle to try to put the puck into. The Capitals are just a little bit quicker with the defensive stick, so Eberle never gets that chance to poke it in, and the last few seconds tick off to give the Capitals the 2-1 win. So once again, it's another gut punch to the chances for the Kraken to make the playoffs, which are pretty slim, admittedly, at this point. And look, as usual, I want to try to stay optimistic about their chances of making that miracle happen and getting to the playoffs, but at this point, it kind of would take just that, a miracle for them to make it. Now, for what it's worth, their schedule does kind of uniquely line up over the next month, really until the last week and a half of the season, to try to provide a chance for that miracle to happen, as over the next 12 games, they only play 4 teams that are either in or anywhere near a playoff spot, and 3 of those teams are the 3 teams that they have a chance to catch to get one of the wildcard spots in the West. And then the rest of them are bad teams that you really should win. Now, at this point, they pretty much need to win all 9 of those games, or all 10 of those games, against the teams that they should beat. So at the very least, well, it's still not very likely. The opportunity is at least there. Otherwise, yeah, this game doesn't inspire a lot of confidence that they can go on that run, as they had been playing very well, other than that second game against Winnipeg where both teams looked terrible. But they'd been playing pretty well over the last couple weeks, until this game where they just come out flat and really don't play well, aside from the start of the first and the start of the third, and maybe a couple of little spurts here and there throughout the rest of the third period. If they want to go on a run, they definitely have to get back to how they were playing earlier on this month. With all that said, though, I don't know how much of a good note we can end this one on with the Kraken 3 stars. As always, brought to you by the patrons over on Patreon. If you want to decide the Kraken 3 stars, or if there's stars like games with this one, then you can help support the channel a little bit more than you already are by watching at this point, by going to the link down below and supporting on Patreon as well. Which, now that we're getting towards the end of the season, whether the end of the Kraken season is the regular season, or if they do make a playoff run, the end of that, whenever the end of the season comes for the Kraken, the patrons over on Patreon will also get a chance to help decide the channel Kraken Awards at the end of the season that I've done every year for the Kraken. So, yeah, reminder that that's coming up as well. As for the Kraken 3 stars, well, the only guy that I can even kind of convince myself could be a star in this game would be Oliver Bjorkstrand. Now, Decord did have a very good game, aside from the one really big mistake, but that one really big mistake kind of makes me feel like I can't really give him a star. And then Bjorkstrand also is kind of a part of that second goal going in, with he and Burakovsky either having a miscommunication or certainly a blunder between the two of them that leads to the second goal. So we're just going to have to hope for a better outcome in the next game against a red-hot Predators team that, yeah, unfortunately for the Kraken, is kind of pulled away with a long point streak of their own. In fact, I think it's getting closer to 13 games of their own point streak that's kind of put them out of reach for that first wildcard spot. Either way, let me know what you think of this game and the outlook for the Kraken in general down in the comment section below. And until next time, stay safe out there, be good to each other, God bless, and go Kraken.